Should I disclose I have a disability when you're looking for a job? So typically when you're just applying for a job, do you need to disclose it right away? Probably not, but because you want to make sure that you're being selected for that interview. And you get you get closer to, you've had the interview, you get closer to the job stage. At that point in time, you can definitely disclose it. So if you are disclosing it, be honest. If you feel comfortable with it, you definitely disclose what your disability is, but focus on how you manage your disability. That's the key thing. You want to focus on that, because it's not about I have a disability, but it's like, I have a disability, but it doesn't affect my work, my ability to work. And I just need an accessible bathroom, or that kind of thing, or what you think you might need in order for you to be successful. You want to focus on your abilities and really highlight those skills that's going to make you successful. And then you also want to know your rights. So work with your parents to understand the Accessible for Ontario's Disability Act, AODA. And then you want to prepare for questions. Because they're going to say, well, why should I hire you? You might be needy, kind of thing. But no, you want to be able to say, hey, I'm not needy. This is what I'm totally able to do the job. So you have to sell yourself. So getting a job is like selling yourself. And then you want to request accommodations. So if you need anything specific for the interview or for the job, because always in the job postings in Ontario, and it says, should you require accommodations, please disclose to the HR person so that they can accommodate the interview for you. So you want to, at that point in time, think, okay, well, here's a company that's actually will hire somebody with a disability. So remember, the goal is to show that you're capable and ready to contribute to the organization. That's the key thing. So there's different types of accommodations that you can ask for. There's some physical ones where you can get an accessible workstation or some ergonomic furniture, or even some assisted devices that you might need to work with. And then there's environmental ones where maybe it's too bright in a room and we have to adjust the lighting. And then even the noise levels. Or there's policy ones, because maybe you need to have flexible work hours, or even more hybrid where you're working from home, or that kind of thing. Or you might need a service animal to be with you while you're at work. So those are different types of accommodations that you can ask for. So Keith asked, if an employer says that they cannot accommodate you, what would you do? And how can you come back and go back to them? It's a great question. So what I would actually say is, why not? That would be my first question, because, again, knowing your rights with AODA, they kind of have to do some sort of accommodation. They are responsible for doing accommodations up to what's considered undue hardship. So they can do a lot of different things. So it's about saying, why not? But let's kind of find a way to make this work. As you get into looking and applying for jobs, a lot of companies will ask for a cover letter. And then this just gives you an example of what you would kind of need to put into a cover letter. So I just put that in there for you. You want to just put in what you're looking for, highlight your skills, and then why you think you're a good fit. So here's some tips on resumes. So you want to tailor your resume for each job application. So not every you don't have a general job application. You want to make sure that you're tailoring it for every job. So you look at your job posting, what you're looking at, and you want to put in some of those words that are in the job posting. And the reason why you want to do that is because a lot of systems right now, a lot of companies will use AI systems to pull for these words, those keywords. So if you look at the resume, at the job posting, you want to be able to say, oh, okay, they're looking for somebody with customer service skills. Well, you're going to make sure you put customer service in there for sure. Does that make sense? I also put down some action words. I'm going to cover that in a minute. Keep your resume to 2 pages. You don't want to go more than 2 pages. And make sure you proofread it. That's really important. So you don't want typos. Have somebody look at it. So here's an example of action words. And I just thought I'd put those in there because you want to put in your action words that, when you've, so maybe in school you developed a project. So you want to put in, develop this kind of project, and it enabled me to enhance the customer service skills for the department. So there's some keywords in there, and I just thought I'd put a whole bunch in there because that's how you want to start off. So it's just based on your comfort level. You want to be prepared again for ask questions, but focus on your strengths. That's really what you want to focus on your resume. So that's what's going to draw the hiring manager, the recruitment people in. Ultimately, the decision is yours. The key is to present yourself as a capable and qualified candidate. Some general interviewing skills. You want to anticipate some common questions. Now, all over the internet, you could say, what are some common questions? I got some for you on the next page, so you could practice on those. But again, as I said, focus on your strengths and experiences. You want to just highlight those skills. Highlight your abilities, prepare for those disability-related questions, so be ready for those follow-up questions, what to explain, any gaps. Maybe you were not working for a long period of time. As you get older, you might want to say, hey, how come you haven't worked? You went to school, you went to university, now you haven't worked for 5 years. So you want to explain that kind of stuff, and that's going to be in the interview process. When you're going through an interview, there's some tips for you. You want to, practice definitely. Write down some of the questions or write down some of your responses so you kind of know. But this is one with the STAR method is one that a lot of companies will ask for. Tell me about a situation when you did this. And that's when they want to focus on what the situation is. What was the task? Like, how did you do it? Your action, and what was the end result? So their companies are going to, when you're tailoring your questions, that's what they want to hear. So they want to know what you did, what was the impact, and then what was the end result. So make sure you do that. And then again, practice, stay positive, tailor your answers. By practicing, and refining your answers, you'll be well prepared to impress that potential employer.